marked on a parchment map I covered hundreds of miles of backcountry Arkansas by truck and on foot. In some cases, the experience of the search verified much of what I heard in the stories. In other cases, it led to my own special adventures. Over the years, the collection grew. There were articles, books, even television and film appearances relative to the lost mines and buried treasure. The more I pursued the tales and legends, the more people contacted me and provided me with more. People often ask, "Did you find any of the lost mines and the caches?" Indeed I did, but that is another book. This one is about the treasures that are still there. These stories are alive with potential, with the thrill of the quest. These are the stories that continue to lure the hopeful adventurer across the state in search of treasure. It is there, waiting to be found. Chapter 1. The Madre Vina Treasure Cache. One of the most celebrated lost treasures in the state of Arkansas is the one known as the Madre Vina Treasure Cache. It is also among the most elusive. Men have searched for generations, yet no one has found it. That it exists is not open to question, for its existence and its location have been documented. The difficulty has been associated with the recovery process. The Madre Vina treasure has often been referred to as a lost gold mine. The truth is, it is not a mine at all, but rather a natural cavern in which tons of gold and silver ore were hidden over a century and a half ago. The cavern is located somewhere deep in the Ozark Mountains. Inside reputedly lies a fortune that could make many men as rich as Croesus. Legends and tales of early Spanish explorers finding and mining gold and silver from the Ozark Mountains are many. In recent years, a number of so-called experts have stated that neither gold nor silver can be found in these mountains, explaining that they are composed of sedimentary rock, which in turn has never yielded such metals. Those who claimed to be experts are wrong. The truth is, gold and silver has been mined in the Ozark and Ouachita ranges in historical and contemporary times. A simple reading of historical and extant mining records verifies this. Furthermore, granite, the rock that is conducive to housing deposits of gold and silver, underlies both of these ranges, manifests great exposures and outcrops all across the region. In fact, in 1998, Arkansas American Mining and Exploration Incorporated announced the gold discovery of the century at a location in the Ouachita Mountains. During the peak of Spanish exploration and mining in the Ozarks, quantities of both gold and silver were taken from the ground, loaded onto burros, and transported toward the southeast. Armed soldiers would escort these pack trains to destinations such as New Orleans or the Florida coast, where the ore would be loaded onto Spanish vessels. These ships would make the long transatlantic voyage to Spain, where the ore would be converted to coins and ingots and deposited in that country's treasury. The wealth was used to run the government and finance the many wars throughout Europe and elsewhere that Spain was engaged in during that time. It was further employed to sustain many of Spain's possessions. On other occasions, the pack trains, sometimes numbering as many as 100 gold-laden burros, were directed southward out of the mountains, across Texas, and into Mexico, where the ore was delivered to the seat of government located there. After receiving a load of ore, the Spanish authorities would organize a return trip to the mines for more of the same. These expeditions from Mexico back to the Ozarks carried supplies and sometimes teams of laborers. With the passage of time, the influence of the Spanish in the New World lessened. Eventually, the mines in the Ozarks were abandoned, and the soldiers and most of the workers and engineers returned to Mexico. Some, however, remained in the mountain range and continued digging the gold and silver for themselves. Many of them were assimilated into the local Indian tribes, where they took wives and raised families. For many generations, they and their descendants continued to dig the ore from the intrusive rock formations hidden beneath the layers of